He wore the badge like armor, untouchable in his own mind. Every rule, every law, he believed it bent to his will. But that day, in a quiet courtroom, everything changed. One woman's courage challenged his authority, and in an instant, the balance of power shifted. How could one person expose the truth he never saw coming? He had always believed in the power of his badge. Officer Daniels, respected, feared, untouchable in his precinct, walked the streets with a sense of invincibility. Every call, every arrest, every courtroom appearance reinforced the idea that authority was absolute, and consequences belonged to everyone else. Outside the uniform, he was just another man with a routine life. Morning coffee at the diner, late-night reports at the station, a quiet apartment downtown, but the badge defined him. Across town, Mariah lived her life differently. Fierce, intelligent, and unafraid, she fought for justice in her own way, never bowing to intimidation or prejudice. She had seen the system fail too many, watched authority turn a blind eye, and quietly prepared for the moments where courage mattered most. That morning, Daniels prepared for what he assumed would be just another routine case. He expected compliance, respect, and the silent acknowledgement of his power. But as he stepped into the courthouse, unaware of who awaited him on the other side, the first cracks in his illusion had already begun. A single presence in that room would challenge everything he thought he knew about control, authority, and justice. And when the gavel fell, nothing would ever be the same. The courtroom buzzed with the low hum of whispers and shuffling papers. Officer Daniels strode in, chest out, mind racing with the certainty that his authority would carry him through. Every step echoed with confidence. Every glance from the gallery dismissed as inconsequential. He believed the law was on his side, and that no one could question it. But Mariah had been waiting. Calm, composed, yet eyes sharp with determination, she faced him not with fear, but with an unwavering resolve that unsettled him more than any accusation ever could. Daniels assumed compliance. Instead, he encountered challenge. Her words, precise and firm, cut through the weight of the room, exposing inconsistencies, highlighting injustices, and revealing truths he had convinced himself didn't exist. As the minutes passed, tension thickened. Each objection he raised was met with a counterpoint that was meticulous, unflinching, and undeniable. The courtroom, once a stage for his dominance, began to feel like a trap. Witnesses spoke, evidence unfolded, and every shred of arrogance he carried started to crumble. He glanced at the jury, hoping for a flicker of agreement, a nod of support, but saw nothing but attentive faces absorbing the narrative he had underestimated. Outside, the city's noise seemed distant, inconsequential. Inside, every heartbeat, every pause, every breath became amplified. Daniels realized he had misjudged Mariah and underestimated the power of someone who refused to be silenced. The gavel's presence loomed, the final confrontation approaching like a storm he hadn't prepared for. Then came the moment that made his confidence waver. A revelation from a key witness, a statement that reframed the entire case in a way he hadn't predicted. The room fell silent, tension hanging thick in the air. Every eye turned, every ear strained to catch the words that would decide the course of justice. And in that instant, Daniels understood. The outcome was no longer in his hands. The line between authority and accountability had been drawn, and crossing it had consequences he never imagined. The gavel struck, echoing like thunder through the hushed courtroom. Officer Daniels felt a chill crawl up his spine. This was the moment everything pivoted. Mariah stepped forward, her voice steady, unyielding, carrying the weight of every injustice he had ignored. Every word she spoke cut through his arrogance like a scalpel, exposing truths he had refused to see. The jury leaned in, the spectators held their breath, and Daniels's confidence faltered. He had believed the badge made him untouchable, that authority could shield him from accountability. But now, with every revelation, every undeniable fact laid bare, he realized the illusion had shattered. Sweat prickled his forehead. His mind raced, searching for control that no longer existed. Witness after witness reinforced her claims. Evidence stacked like bricks against the wall of his pride. The whispers in the gallery grew louder, judgment unspoken yet palpable. Every argument he made faltered under scrutiny. He had walked into this courtroom thinking he would dominate, only to discover that courage, truth, and justice could challenge even the most powerful. Then came the final statement, precise, piercing, and impossible to ignore. Silence enveloped the room. Daniels's chest tightened. He understood, in that electrifying instant, that his authority was meaningless here. Justice was impartial. Rank and title could not defy truth. For the first time, he felt the full weight of accountability, staring back at him, unblinking and inevitable. And as Mariah's eyes met his, unwavering and resolute, Daniels knew nothing would ever be the same. In that moment, the line between power and responsibility had been drawn, and he had crossed it. Would he rise from this, or would the consequences of his arrogance define him forever? When the courtroom emptied, Officer Daniels remained seated, stunned. The verdict had been clear, the lesson undeniable. The badge he had relied on, the authority he had taken for granted, could not shield him from accountability. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to face the consequences of one's actions. Mariah walked out with her head held high, unwavering in her courage, a living reminder that justice does not bend for power, rank, or privilege. Her bravery exposed not only the flaws in one man's arrogance, but also the cracks in a system that so often favored authority over truth. Daniels felt the weight of that truth pressing down on him, forcing a reckoning he had long avoided. Outside the courtroom, the world carried on, unaware of the silent shifts that had occurred within one room. Yet the impact lingered. Lessons learned, perspectives changed, and a subtle, unspoken call for fairness resonating far beyond the walls of justice. Daniels's life would never be the same. He had been confronted by a reality he could no longer ignore, one that demanded reflection, humility, and change. This was not just a single story. It was a mirror reflecting a truth millions experience every day. Racism, abuse of power, and blind authority continue to shape lives, often leaving those without voice vulnerable and unheard. And yet, stories like Mariah's remind us that courage, resilience, and the pursuit of justice can pierce even the thickest veil of oppression. The question remains, how many more must rise, speak, and stand before true accountability reaches all corners of society? How long will silence protect injustice, and how long will courage be underestimated? This story challenges us not only to witness, but to act, to recognize injustice when we see it, and to ensure that justice never favors rank over righteousness.